Hello, my name's Seth, and this is my early game guide. I thought the best way to do this is by taking a couple of my early games and going over decisions that I made and why I made them, so you can see what I'm thinking about when I'm playing the early game. I picked these two games out of a session of 4 games that I played in a row, and I think these are representative of tough decisions that you will have to make in the early game. Alright, jumping into first game with first carousel, I like to prioritize items that are really strong early game. So that's going to be rod, glove, chain. I think bow might be the strongest item in the game, but it's pretty weak early, but builds into strong late game items. So I like to grab early game items and find my direction much later into the game. I do this because I want to prioritize building items that will help me win streak, like Rage Blade, Locket, Spark, Sunfire Cape. Because items like RFC may be really strong late game, they don't do a whole lot for me early game, and RFC's not winning me a fight, and I want to be win streaking because a lot of the comps I play try to make it to level 8. Now if I hit a Chosen that's really good and I want to play it, obviously I'm going to stay at level 3, level 4 a little longer, but normally I'm trying to make it to 8 as fast as I can, so I can go ahead and roll down for a comp like Kale, or Slayers, or Elderwood, Asol. I really am looking to be 8 for those comps when I do my roll down, and I need to be healthy to do that. With that being said, I'm given this first shop, and it has a Yasuo pair, a Elise pair, and then a Garen Nidalee, and those share the Warlord buff. Now, I really like picking up pairs, but I don't think Yasuo pair plays well with what I have, and I think that the Warlord duo themselves are going to be a lot stronger than anything else I can be doing here. Especially with Rod and Bow, my items aren't lining up for an Elise carry or a Yasuo carry, so I don't care about having the pair for them as much as maybe having Nidalee, who can use both a Rod and Tier pretty well. Here I get some gold, and I decide to just sell the Braum to pick up the pair to keep my options open. Here I decide to pre-level. I haven't hidden my Chosen yet. Chosens, you're guaranteed to see a Chosen on stage by stage 2-2. So the fact that I haven't seen it stage 1-2, 1-3, 1-4 means that either 2-1 or 2-2 I'm gonna see a Chosen guaranteed. So if I pre-level here, that means I have a 40% chance of hitting a 2-cost Chosen. So I go ahead and sell my units. I'm playing Sharpshooter and hoping to pick up a Warlord at 4, but sometimes it might not happen. My items here are a little awkward. Between Morello's, Ludens, and Redemption, I pick up this Duelist Fiora, which I think is a pretty strong unit. So I go ahead and pick her up because I think I can win streak with her. Now, I'm between building a really strong item for the carry that I want, right? I build items for the carry that I have, and then I make it work later game, right? Because I don't have direction, and this kind of puts me in direction. The problem is that Ludens is really good on Fiora, but it's not really good on any of the late game carries. So if I build it, I'm kind of really committing to this Fiora. So instead, I build Redemption, which is also going to be a fine item for her since she's frontlining, but it's going to scale a lot better into the late game. So I'm making this item with the consideration that it's good now on the carry that I have, but I'm also making the concession that I'm going to have to play this item later. If it only mattered about right now, I could make Ludens and it'd be really strong right now. But late game, I'm not going to be able to use that Ludens at all, and Redemption turns out to be a better choice. Here, I go ahead and pick up the Garen pair, and I also am just holding some extra units. I pick up the Irelia because I might be able to play some Enlightened, which the Enlightened and the Duelist buff on Fiora is going to make her pretty mean into the early and mid game. I'm here scouting just to make sure I'm on the right side so I don't get jumped on by assassins. There's 2 assassin players, one on the left, one on the right. I decide that the one on the right I have a chance of beating, or the one on the left I have a chance of beating. The one on the right I'm not going to beat if I play them. So I decide that I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to try to beat the player I can beat. So that's why I'm on the right side and not the left side. So here I actually pick up the Callista. And I pick up another Enlightened. So I'm really just trying to think of what position I want to take this game in. I have the Sharpshooters, but I don't have Warlord buff. So I'm not really committed to this Nidalee, and I'm not really committed to Sivir right now. And I'm right now just thinking, do I want to set myself up to be really strong for stage 2-3, or do I want to set myself up to be stronger for the rest of the game? I decided to play the Callista and the Irelia. I think that this is a little weaker than my board before, but it scales a lot better. It has a lot more better options at stage level 5 and level 6, rather than that last comp, which really didn't have great options going into level 5 or level 6. But here I can play more duelist. It can play I can play units that support Callista a lot better, and she's gonna scale way better into stage 3 and 4. So I decide, hey, I'm gonna play a little bit weaker, but I'm gonna have a more solid plan going into the mid game. So here in Carousel, I'm really looking for either a nice flexible item, or I'm considering Callista, so I can maybe 2-star Callista. Morelos isn't bad, not great on her, but late game I wouldn't mind having a Morelos. So picking up the unit that makes a good item isn't awful. I decide here that the glove's going to be better for direction wise, and so I end up taking that. And now here we go ahead and hit another Callista. At level 5, I can just throw her in here. Obviously, I'd rather play 4 Duelist if I could, but since I can't, playing double Callista is still fine. She's a pretty strong unit, and so I don't mind doubling up on her. She's definitely going to be better than putting in a Janna. That's not going to really do much, and I don't really want the Teemo because that's not going to do anything either. So we come back, and there's not really anything I want from the shop. Not much to do here, so just a scouting around to make sure I'm still playing around these assassins. Alright, and here we actually pick up the Force Duelist. It's a Yasuo 1, but I believe the attack speed buff on the first Callista is going to be strong enough to warrant playing this Yasuo 1, which is a weaker unit than Callista, but the buff overall is going to make the first Callista a lot stronger. So that's all the decisions I've made in game 1 early game. Let's go ahead and jump into another example. Alright, so jumping into the next game here, again, I'm looking for Rod Start or Glove Start. Don't want Bow because Bow's pretty weak early on. And yeah, if I'm going to go ahead and force, Kale or Zed every game, I'm going to be winning that Bow. But since I'm trying to play more flexibly in the early game and win streaks through stage 2 and 3, I go ahead and pick up Bow or Rod because it's going to be a lot stronger of an early game item. Alright, so here I go ahead and I hit the Yasuo Duelist, which is a really strong chosen. And so now I have to make the decision, do I want to build a comp around this Yasuo, or do I want to use him to win streak early and play something else later? Now this really depends on kind of how my fortune goes early game and kind of what I roll into. I do see that there's another player playing Duelist, so I'm going to be contested if I do decide to hard commit to this Yasuo. So I'm keeping these in mind. Now the double Rod is definitely not great for early game. When I'm level 7 with Yasuo, yeah, it can be really good with Callista as a backup carry, but that's not for a while, and I'm gonna lose a lot of games if I'm really committing to that death cap way too early. So right now I'm a little off of this Yasuo. It's really strong if I 3-star him, but I'm contested and my items aren't great for him. So I'm gonna have to get a lot of work, get a little lucky, and I'm just not, I don't want to put myself where I need to get lucky when I can put myself in the spot to just play strong. So here I get the gold, I buy the units, and I decide to pre-level because I think I'm still pretty weak here and I need to find some better composition to play around. Now here, my direction's still not great. I'm going to play Warlords with Yasuo here. With that being said, I do have this Vigar Rakan, which fits way better with my items, and it may have been correct to just kind of pivot here out of the Yasuo and play the Vigar Rakan with the Keeper Elise, and then maybe play the Vi frontline. And I think that would have been stronger here. It clears up my chosen slot to hit like a 2 or 3 cost chosen in the future. But right now I'm going to play this Yasuo, and it's debatable if this is correct or not. It's definitely a hard decision. Yasuo is very good in this fight, so like I'm glad I had him, but I think it's possible that I wanted to pick up this Vigar and Rakan here. So that's a mistake on my part. Here, our shop's a little awkward. We go ahead and pick up the J4. And we actually just decide to buy everything since we can't make gold here. And I decide I'd rather have the stacks on the J4 because I might play cultist into the mid or keeper into the mid game, and I'd rather have the stacks on him if I'm playing keeper. All right, so I lost that last fight pretty bad. Got defeated by all 4 of their units and decided that I'm still really weak, and I'm trying to figure out how to play my strongest board while giving me options to get lucky in the future. Because although I don't want to have to rely on getting lucky, it's nice to give myself the option to get lucky. So when I have a chosen that I'm not planning on playing into the mid game, and I haven't sold him, I'm giving myself less options to roll into a better chosen. And so I'm constantly thinking, when is the time to sell this Yasuo? Because I've already passed the point of being able to play him. So I lost that last fight again. So I'm actually going to be second pick on this carousel. And we're really just deciding on what items we want to pick up here and what's going to let us be the most powerful we can be. I decided that building into Locket is going to save me a lot of life this game. And that's a decision that I had made. And now I've also decided that it's time to sell out of this Yasuo and try to hit a better chosen if I'm given the chance. So I'm just going ahead, try to figure out how to play my strongest board here. And I decide that building Locket and giving it to my whole team is going to be the best way to start saving life. Because I'm already kind of low compared to the lobby. And although I'd like to keep lose streaking, I don't want to lose by 4 every time. I've been losing by 4 units every fight, and I just want to make sure I'm saving life. Perfect. So here, this is what I was talking about with the Yasuo, is that the longer I held it, the longer I would go without actually having a chance to hit a better chosen. This Annie mage gives me a ton of direction for the mid game. She's a really strong unit, and I can go ahead and pivot into playing her. So I'm super happy to see her. She's going to be a great frontline, and she gives me a option to play 5 mages into the mid game. And I wouldn't have hit this if I just stubbornly held on to that Yasuo, even though it didn't really fit my team comp, because he's a good chosen. He is, but I'm not using him well. And that's an important thing to be keeping in mind. So here I hard pivoted. I had Duelist Yasuo on 1-2, and now I'm playing Annie Chosen on 2-6 with 3 mages. Hey, if you like this content and you want to see more game review where I go over mid game and late game and decisions I make and explaining my thought process, leave a comment below letting me know that you enjoyed this. I'm going to start a Twitch channel in April where I do free VOD coaching. I'm going to start streaming on it earlier, but that VOD coaching is going to start in April. I have a Patreon link below where I include, if you want to support me and say thanks for the content that I create, or just buy me a coffee in appreciation for the information I'm sharing. I appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and you have a great day.